Welcome to Bigfoot Adventures. Have you ever had a Bigfoot sighting? If you have and you don't want to let anybody know that it was you that saw them, or you're afraid to tell your story because you're afraid of you being made fun of, I'd be glad to tell your story for you. All you have to do is email me your story at bigfootadventures411@gmail.com. Let me know what you want me to say, what you don't want me to say, and I can put your story out there so other people can hear about it without you being identified. This next report happened quite a while ago. It's a BFRO report 10867, and it happened on August 7th, 1981. But there is a significance of this story because this story was in Sarasota County, Florida, and it's not too far from Myakka State Park, where there have been ongoing sightings as of today. So this was a different time, and there was 3 children that lived in this neighborhood, and there was like really nothing around back then. There was farmland everywhere, and there might have been 3 houses in this whole area. And they would go across the road and play in this wooded area. It was a very wooded area, and there was a dirt like mound over there, and the children, they were the ages 10, 11, and 12, and they were cousins. And the reason I like this story is usually children don't lie, and they all 3 told the same story on this. But what happened is they went over to this wooded area that they always played at, and they would go onto the dirt mound and they would play with their matchbox cars and make a whole road system and just play with their cars on the hill, just like a normal kid would do. It was a dirt hill, and there was a VW, abandoned VWs back there in the woods that were there so long that trees were actually growing through them. And beyond, or before where the vehicles were, there was a ditch. And then there was the vehicles. And then beyond the vehicles, there was a house that was abandoned that was burned down. Now, they did not go past where the house was when they ventured out there, because it was very dense and the woods were very dark, and beyond the house it was very swampy. So they tend to stay towards where the hill and the cars were and the ditch. So they were playing with their cars, and they were having a good time, and all of a sudden they heard something, and they all looked, but they didn't see what it was. And then all of a sudden they heard a stick, like a stick snap, like something was standing on a stick. So they looked over, and where the VW cars were, it looked like there was a man standing there staring at them. But they couldn't really get a good look because of the dark woods was kind of shining on them. So they couldn't really see, exactly who it was, or, but they knew it was very tall. Like they thought like 6, 7 feet. So they thought it was their friend Bobby that was a lot older than them. So they're like, "Hey, Bobby, stop trying to scare us. We know you're over there," and that kind of stuff. And there was no response. So the kids kept looking at each other like, "What the heck is this?" And this person, or whatever it was just standing there staring at them. Well, finally, after about 10 minutes of this going on and this human-looking thing staring at them, it kind of moved to the side, and there was kind of some light. They could see what it looked like a little bit, but there was small trees that were covering the bottom of them. But it was so tall that you could see the top part, and they could see that it was very hairy everywhere. And when it raised its arms up to grab a hold of a tree, they could see very long, hairy arms that was holding onto this tree. So they kept looking at each other because they really didn't know what to do. They were just so scared. They're just three young children, and they don't know what this thing is. And they said they couldn't really get a really good look at the face, but because it kept staring at them, they kept making eye contact with each other for about 10 minutes. They're like, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? And they all decided, run, let's go, let's run. So they all ran home. They were so scared about it. They went home and told their family about it. Their family didn't believe them, thought it was nothing. It was just a wild animal, whatever. But at first, when they were looking at it, they thought it was a bear that was standing up on the hind legs, but they quickly dismissed that when they realized that it was standing on two legs and it was able to walk and move around on two legs for a little bit anyway. And then they saw the arm reach up and they could see the shoulders. They knew this was no bear. So they ended up running home. They were so scared, and they never ever went back to that area again after that. Now, this area now is full of houses. It's neighborhoods now. But if you look at the map where this happened, you'll see a red dot. And then if you look over to the right of that red dot, that's where Myakka State Park is, where they're having ongoing sightings and events over there. So I thought this was a very interesting story, even though it's older. I think they saw something that day. I appreciate you listening. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.